Buffduck. So
Whoa.
Buffduck is in, and Buffduck is going to be playing Dr. Gustavo, who is Lady Lorelei. And look at that, Blue
Lorelei.
Sapphire. As soon as you're in, let me know, because I know we are in
Yep,
for
I'm
a
in.
treat.
Wow, what is this team? These two teams, in fact. Oh my god.
Oh my god, is right. And look at the first pick too. Golder Buffduck going 4-0 in the Swiss rounds, confidently picking up Golder to start off the team. This is already looking like quite the interesting set of matches here.
Yeah, I actually really like this Golder first pick opening. If you take a look at Dr. Gustavo's team, there's not really a wind temp that can safely threaten the Golder. Yes, you have a wind plump, but wind plump is also water type. So Lady Lorelei, aka Dr. Gustavo, will go straight into the Kinu wind plump. Raise defense on the wind plump, hopefully get to that second turn tornado and force Golder out. But in the opening turn, you're basically allowing Buffduck here to pick his poison. Or quite literally,
yes.
yeah, but now Wimple will be probably really susceptible to these toxic attacks, and it's not like, again, Dr. Gustavo has a Tem that can really that doesn't mind eating it. Yes, you have Massion and Raikin, but those are not Tems that particularly want to also face check Platypus, especially since it'll probably not be the only water Tem on Buffduck's team here. Might pick up Ukama as well, unless that's banned out.
Yeah, we'll see. And as you said, Blue, Golder looking like a solid Temtem to the majority of Dr. Gustavo's Tem. That was 3 water Tems, 1 nature, which takes effective damage from poison techniques. And, you know, fire is not resistant by any means to it too, so those poison ticks do add up. So Golder looking like a solid pickup against Dr. Gustavo's lineup. Let's see what Doctor wants to ban next, and then what else Buffduck is going to bring to the table.
Yeah, we'll have to take notice here how this will go. Buffduck is definitely taking his time figuring this out as well. Actually, no, Dr. Gustavo is trying to figure out what he wants to ban here. It's a bit understandable, as you know, you have to figure out what you really want to remove. Having the 4 element typing, I like to call it, right? So what Dr. Gustavo has is fire, nature, toxic, and wind. So those kind of typings is sort of 4 elementy, and so you have a lot of weaknesses, but you also cover a lot of strengths. And in terms of that, you then have to figure out, okay, what strengths do I want to allow and what weaknesses do I want to allow? And essentially getting rid of Mashuk means that your fire Tems can do a lot more damage in the sense that, you know, Perrier isn't there. The Cernif can also be picked up here as well. It is quite a solid Tem. Of course, again, Platypus is really the dent in the works here, as the only wind Tem is also weak to the toxic damage of the Platypus. But aside from that, I don't really see a downside to picking Cernif. I guess the Sapphire, but yeah.
Yeah, Sapphire perhaps a mix. Those crystal spikes do tend, even for Colossity, even if it's, you know, increasing the defensive, that special defense still a bit exposed. So mixed with the crystal spikes could be doing a decent amount. But for Dr. Gustavo's team is going to be concluding it with that Cernif, as you mentioned, Blue, and finalizing it with that Raikin. So trying to make things work for him. But it looks like Buffduck's team kind of counters it a little bit. Just the opening turns, the toxic from Golder, the toxic from Platypus with those Eurosouls. That's a lot of nature and a lot of water, which toxic is super effective into. So that's 4 out of the 5 Temtems on Dr. Gustavo's side that just those 2 Temtems alone tend to do a good amount of work into.
It's just the unfortunate scenario. Dr. Gustavo running 2 of most types doesn't really work in your favor in that regard. As again, if your Tems that protect your weaker Tems are banned out, suddenly you're in a position where a lot of your Tems have exposed weaknesses, and we'll see how Dr. Gustavo brings about this one, or how Buffduck pushes this advantage. Of course, Kino Projector applied immediately.
Very true, very true. And on that note, this is it. The very first game of our quarterfinals. Our #1 seed Buffduck going up against Dr. Gustavo. This is a best of 3 series, of course, so who is going to be inching out a bit of the advantage, getting the first victory early? Can kind of give you a little bit of a confidence booster. So let's see which player is going to be getting this.
Oh, Riken swap out immediately, but Urushiol straight into the action here. The Riken will be eating that immediately. Beta Burst will be thrown out as well, just to do a little bit of damage to the Platypus. Not too much, but this is a bigger problem. Instant Toxic in straight into the Kinu, drops it to already half its HP, and it can no longer stay in. Lest it wants to go down immediately. And Riken as well isn't safe here. Aquatic Whirlwind is available, and judging from how much damage Urushiol did, one solid Aquatic Whirlwind will pretty much force the Riken dead.
Yeah, very true. If the single Aquatic Whirlwind doesn't actually kill it, those remaining 37% on that poison will certainly make sure it goes down for sure. And that's something Dr. Gustavo definitely has to pay attention. That is an Aquatic Whirlwind online for Platypus, so let's see if Dr. Gustavo wants to play it a bit safe here. I mean, Riken's not going to be doing a whole lot to neither of these Temtems, so yeah, it looks like he's understanding that, making an appropriate switch here.
Yeah, Whiplump straight back in, but what I'm afraid of is Toxic going into that Whiplump spot just to pressure. The Kinu is definitely dead, guaranteed. Hypnosis is thrown out immediately by Dr. Gustavo, but it's not affected. The Golder has an energy drink, surprise! By Buffduck here, and Toxic came straight into the Whiplump as predicted correctly by Buffduck.
Yeah, something to take note there, without any speeds, the Platypus actually outspeeding Kinu. Most people building Kinu with a lot of speed, but the Platypus at base speed, Kinu at base speeds, or sorry, neutral, stages of speed, actually going to be outspeeding the Kinu. So actually pretty interesting there. I guess it's a bit of a speedy Platypus, or rather a slower Kinu. But yeah, that E-Drink quite savage there on the Golder. It makes sense though, because Golder literally, I believe, the slowest Temtem in the entire game so far, so it definitely makes sense.
Yes. Yeah. It is just quite unfortunate here. It looks like Dr. Gustavo has, I wouldn't want to say this, but he has faced essentially every trap Buffduck has laid out. Noxious Bomb will be thrown out here straight into the Whiplump. This Whiplump is not very safe anymore. Water Cannon Lily is thrown out, but remember, this is a nature attack against a Toxic Temp. Luckily, Platypus takes full damage due to his water typing. Tornado will be thrown out on the Golder as well. Does not double up, but almost one-shots the Golder, or not one-shots, but does a lot of damage. Toxic Ink will trade Whiplump, and that's your only win time against this opening. Suddenly, you are now stuck with the Ukama, a Riken, to try and deal with this.
Yeah, and of course, hindsight always 20/20, but if that Tornado would have connected onto the Platypus would have been dead here, so Aquatic Whirlwind wouldn't even be online. The question here though, Water Current Lily is no hold move, right? That's 3 prio versus 3 prio, so which Temtem is faster? Because if Water Current Lily goes first, of course Platypus goes down. If you're able to get that Aquatic Whirlwind, then Simba, the Riken, is going to be going down. And it's gonna be, I mean, based off how fast it was against Kinu, I feel like this is a speedy Platypus, so it could be worth, knocking out your Platypus for securing the kill onto Riken there.
Platypus is naturally faster than Cernif, so if this is a max speed Platypus, unfortunately there's nothing the Cernif can do to stop it. We'll have to see. Simba gets swapped out. Either Riken Ukama's gonna come back in, actually gonna try and set up some damage later down the line. Noxious Bomb is thrown out here, so again will be eaten by the Cernif. We'll see if it's Callosity or Settling. It looks like it is Settling. Water Cannon will be thrown out, secures the kill on the Platypus, as this is a full attack Cernif. Shuts it down straight up, gets a kill. Dr. Gustavo is in this game, but Toxic Ink just punishes the Cernif, and if you look at the Cernif stamina, it's already out. There's no sweatband or anything like that on this Cernif, which makes me wonder what's actually equipped on it, as you would think that the Cernif would be your main damage output.
It looks like there is a sweatband.
Okay, there is a sweatband. That was just a little bit delayed there on the stamina game, but it is there nonetheless.
Yeah, but now it's feeling pressure from this mix. One Crystal Spike surely takes it down, adding in that poison, of course, as well. But man, literally Buffduck, as we were mentioning, just the nature of these Tems, or the teams that were recruited for this game one, Buffduck didn't make any switches. I mean, Dr. Gustavo was kind of going back and forth trying to find the perfect position, but with those 2 Tems alone doing so much work, let's see if he's gonna keep it. Oh, and what a good read going into the Yukama instead.
Right into the Yukama, punishing a lot of HP damage already. And the Blizzard as well to pick off the Golder, or at least attempt to do so, but it survives at 0.4% HP, and unfortunately that trade does not go his way. Dr. Gustavo loses Yukama immediately.
Yeah, Doctor desperately needed that Golder to go down, but just look at him. Look at Golder. That is a tanky boy, sir, surviving by pretty much 1 HP. Taking down the Yukama. Insane stuff. So Dr. Gustavo finding himself in the very last 2 Temtem. Make that 1 Temtem situation. So Simba versus Buffduck's remaining team.
Ooh, Toxic Gate isn't even thrown out. This Golder's literally going to kill everybody. It overexerts just to say haha to the Riken. Doesn't even get the chance to injure the Golder. Golder goes out on his own terms. Meteor Swarm drops the mix to Puppet Master Rage. Talk about a disaster, as Riken now doomed to die and now face against the Nukama. Does not seem like there's a chance here. And the resignation comes in. Julie
Press Buffduck doing so well, because we did see a lot of turbo win focused teams in the Swiss round. So those kind of teams against this toxic heavy team like Buffduck tend to do pretty well. But maybe he knows his way around those. So this is it, game number 2, and Blue taking a good advice from you. So Platimus will receive the ban there.
Exactly. It was like people would say, oh, my Golder did so much damage, but no, I'm pretty sure it was Platimus. Another thing to note is that while Platimus is on the field, you cannot use Fire Temps to shut down these Toxic Temps. That is a good way to deal with Toxic Temps, is because Meteor Swarm, Major Slash, Embers, Fire Tornado, these are very good abilities against Toxic Temps. Not because they do double damage or anything like that, but because Toxic Temps can't really stack poison, and it's not like Toxic Temps have a massive burst ability to shut down these Fire Temps. It's all about these Water Temps to deal with the Fire Temps, and that is why I think for Dr. Gustavo, the plan is to definitely use these Fire Temps as much as possible, shut down Water Temps on the side of Buffduck, and then you will be able to succeed. And on top of that, then Mix is no longer a pickup for Buffduck, because if you pick up Mix into 2 Temps with Meteor Swarm, that doesn't sound fun.
Yeah, not fun whatsoever. The only problem is, oh, but wait a minute. Buffduck has counter picks, so Dr. Gustavo deciding to send the invite despite him losing. So Buffduck's still gonna get the counter pick, so it seems like an easy Yukama pickup for him. Just to guarantee he has the appropriate pressure back onto these Fire Temps. Usually the loser makes their opponent get the counter pick, but maybe Doctor likes to play on the blue side.
Yeah, perhaps. Unfortunately, like in this case, right, because they haven't changed the draft, how drafting works, Orange is by most cases, unfortunately, 50% better overall in terms of drafted picks. Hopefully, eventually, hopefully, Kasawa changes that a little bit. At least the end term of the draft, Blue will get the last pick. But regardless, as of this moment, it looks like Dr. Gustavo will be running the double fire. And again, that Okama ban was to be expected. Buffduck, I would say he fell for a little bit of the Volarant bait. Like again, Fire Temps don't care about your special defense. So this is an anaerobic Volarant. It's not really gonna do much, and this is why I was talking about how Fire Temps can really do a lot here. Is because most Toxic Temps have high special defenses, but not natural defense. So again, these Fire Temps will have to do a lot of work. Dr. Gustavo even concedes picking up the Surnave over the Okama. Good way to deal with Capfire. And Buffduck is in a precarious position where Mix or Masio will have a rough time here regardless. And we'll have to see.
Yeah, we will. So I think it was a Mix to round out Buffduck's team. Let's see how Buffduck is going to be able to get this done. He's going up against 2 Fire Temps with no Water Temps, or these 2 Toxic Temps, and the remaining of his squad enough to take it down. Dr. Gustavo is starting to turn off pretty good so far, of course. A Madness buff on the Riken is what you want to see. That Riken could potentially be a true carry for him. since there's nothing too much gonna be dropping them down too much. Of course, things like P-Jab into a Volan or a Gold or Toxic Ink, little by little could get the job done, but you know, directly.
Yep. I just want to point out as well, a thing that everyone has to note here is that the opening here is actually favorable to Dr. Gustavo, and this is because you can swap in the Mastion to double Meteor Swarm. And again, Buffduck does not have a Water Temp to eat this. If anything, Sapphire has to take one for the team. And if you swap out Golder, you're in a position where suddenly Golder doesn't have the initiative. And by initiative, I mean he has to swap in, then move, rather than just move immediately. And a lot of the benefits from Golder is that he's tanky, right? So him staying in would be much better than really if he had to swap in. So again, this is probably a Mastion swap in straight into this. Dr. Gustavo knows his second turn play. This is where the fire temps are strongest. Feather Gatling is thrown out immediately, trying to pick off the Riken as soon as possible, but the defense is raised, already proving its worth. But that's an aerobic Bowler that's actually very massive, as that means there is damage trade potential here. Talking is thrown out on the Riken, really trying to punish, but look at that defense. This is what I'm talking about. Fire Temp do not care how much toxic you spit at them, as long as they have the damage to counter.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, that is an aerobic bird, so definitely could get a good old hyperkinetic strike to do some heavy damage onto these fire temps. So maybe that's what Buffduck had in mind. However, doesn't currently have anything to speed up the Vola any bit more than just, you know, hitting with these feather gatlings. So maybe that's the game plan, but as you mentioned, Blue, potentially a double Meteor Swarm incoming. There's not too many things that want to eat it. Maybe double swap to Mashuk Sapphire. I mean, both of these temps can eat it fairly well, but it's still going to be a lot of damage.
I would say, you know, Volan kind of looks like a dinosaur. I mean, 2 Meteor Swarms, you know, it's sort of repeating history there. As there is in fact a Lava Shark only across from Buffduck here, so a lot of references to dinosaurs this time. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw double Meteor Swarm. So Magnetic Strike trying to shut down the Bastion, actually doing a lot of damage. Good work there, trying to remove the
maybe Golder. Yeah, I think this is a down for the count. Bastion, those 2 ticks of poison are gonna guarantee it to be dead.
Absolutely. The double fires though, remember, burn into burn is quite massive, and a lot of attack damage is what Dr. Gustavo is looking for. Look at that, the Volarant's already almost dead, and Hyperkinetic Strike is good, but not if the Volarant is dead. The Bastion, speaking of dead, is probably going to go out, but you also have Major Slash, so at least you might get something, unless Windburst is forced from the Volarant, in which case the Riken may potentially get a free Prideful. And Kinu's still in the back pocket, so a swap in Kinu into Revitalize is also available. You cannot sleep on Riken's high damage output, and not only that, it looks like it has really high defense as well. Again, the Golder is not doing much damage.
Yeah, and we did see a little bit earlier, I saw a Motivator proc, so we know it's not prideful, but it's still good. Same idea, a Riken is still a threat nonetheless. But yeah, Bastion could be trying to go out for a final hoorah, but a +2 Volarant will obviously outspeed that if it wants to. You could try to save the Vola, try to bring it in, recover that hyperkinetic strike, and then go for a final, you know, damage dealing move. But
I mean,
he might have done the work already.
Right. I mean, Buffduck, I'm not sure if he wants to keep the Volarant, really, but what other choices does he have? Mix isn't really gonna have a fun time while Riken is still alive. So Cage actually shuts down any idea of escaping, so if this Volarant was swapping out, it's not gonna happen. Buffduck actually tried it! Volarant is gonna get eliminated straight up by this Riken, and that's quite big. Volarant is a big damage dealer on the side of Buffduck, as he had revealed Toxic Ink is thrown out as well. So the Riken will be in a bit of a danger zone here, as it's caged at poison, but that's what Kinu is for, and Revitalize could change this drastically.
Yeah, I think that was a really well played for Dr. Gustavo there. You know Bastion was going to be dead the next turn, so you know that's a free swap in there, and then you get the kill onto the Volarant without the Volarant doing any damage, because Buffduck didn't expect the cage, try to pull it out, did not end up working the way he thought it would. But still, Golder connecting that Toxic Ink onto the Raiken, gonna be applying those ticks of poison. So little by little, this Raiken's looking a bit in that danger zone.
Right.
But as we mentioned, Kinu now hitting the board. Revitalize is online for him.
Ooh, what? That's actually an interesting one. I'm not I was thinking of a Sapphire swap, and Sapphire allowing you to double up on the Kinu, eliminate that threat immediately. But Mashuk is decent, but you know, you can't really Urushiol tick the Raiken at the moment. I mean, if Golder dies, you don't get Urushiol ever at all, right? So I'm just surprised that this Mashuk was swapped in. Obviously, we're gonna see Revitalize into maybe potentially a sacrifice down the road. The Raiken has Meteor Swarm as well, and this Golder will definitely go down if that is the case. But we'll have to see. Beta Burst actually goes first. It's not even a Revitalize. Revitalize who? Goes straight into the Mashuk, does decent damage, but Uppercut's gonna secure that kill on the Raiken. So he lets the Raiken go. Fire Tornado's gonna shut down the Golder here surely, as that is quite a bit of damage. It doesn't do enough. It's not a Meteor Swarm, and there's no attack damage on this Raiken. Dr. Gustavo trying to maybe perhaps outplay a mix swap in, but that costs the Raiken kill. And Kinu does not do enough damage to really compensate for that Raiken sacrifice. I am surprised that there was no Revitalize into Meteor Swarm, as Meteor Swarm would have killed the Golder.
Actually, think about it. Kinu retreated the very first turn, and it wasn't brought in from, you know, a swap in. So it actually, thinking about it, didn't even have Revitalize online there. So that's potentially why we didn't see it go down there. So just going on the offense with that Beta Burst.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, that's just unfortunate there for Dr. Gustavo. That Raiken was a big centerpiece in how he brings this back. But Saipad is still in the back pocket. Ukama's still in the back pocket. It's definitely not over. Or Ukama's right here, but the Saipad's still in the back pocket. There's still a decent amount of damage there. The problem now is how he really deals with Mashuk. Luckily, the Ukama's quite fast, so Golder might go down here without any issues.
Oh, the cage from the Mashuk, maybe trying to take down the Kinu with it. Oh, but the Kinu actually having grease there, so not too bad, but didn't even want to leave. Just want to go with the solid hypnosis.
Exactly, and the Mashuk is caged and asleep. This is actually one of my favorite combos to do on an opponent, is to put them to sleep and then cage them. Because not only can they not swap out, they just have one. You basically get a 1v2 situation here, and Mix comes in to straight up threaten Kinu's life here, but the Saipad can swap in. Saipad can eat a Crystal Spikes. That's not the issue here, I don't think. But yeah, Mix coming in. Puppet Master, of course, very scary, but not as scary as Tsunami. Of course, you can still trade him off. And again, Dr. Gustavo, he is in a bit of a disadvantage here, but he did buy himself time with that Mashuk cage sleep.
Yeah, not too bad. I think a solid play for Buff. I think just gunning down Ukama. You know it can't swap out. The Ukama's the only one with Tsunami. Saipad can learn Tsunami, but most Saipads aren't really running Tsunami, so gun down the one that's going to be pressuring you after that Puppet Master. So, you know, something like a double C-Spike into Ukama for this turn, and then turn number 7 could be a solid line of play for Buffduck. I don't see anything wrong with that line of play. And then, you know, you do want to get some more Kinu buffs off, so I think you might have to swap in for that side pack, because if Kinu goes down here, then it's going to be tough situation. But you know, Dr. Uso not completely out of this. You know, he has the water Temtem to deal with Sapphire. He has the AoE from Tsunami to deal with Mix if he's able to get it low enough. The biggest problem is that Mashuk and kinda Kinu, we saw how much damage he did. He brought it down from 100 to 65%. So I believe that's what, 2 more beta bursts, or what is that, 35?
So 35, yeah, it went 34.8% damage, which means, yeah, 2 more beta bursts would kill the Mashuk, but a swap in from Sidepad as assumed here. But choreography actually quite smart here by Dr. Gustavo, just trying to be slightly fast enough so that the Mashuk is unable to outspeed. But Crystal Spikes will show you that you are gonna get punished for that play. No damage is dealt, and a whole lot of punish is coming. This Mix might get swapped out. It's a Sapphire, probably don't do that. But this Mashuk is definitely coming in with that Urushiol just to do as much damage to the Ukama potentially.
Yeah,
but
we just saw we just saw how much the crystal spike did, so that was indeed over 50%. So the left spot is dead, so Yukama either dies or the Kinu either dies, and then leaving it not too good. I think Mix itself is going to be cleaning up this game. But Nicho Sai, is it enough to take down the Mix? It's going to be hitting hard. Maybe Nicho Sai followed by the Tsunami could be a sideline of play. Let's see if it gets done, but not even going to be able to pull the trigger on that Tsunami. That 3 Prio Crystal Spike a little bit too fast.
Yeah, exactly. Okama is so slow, actually. Mix is unable to, oh, sorry, the Okama is unable to get anything off. I'm not sure what the Okama speed TVs are, but that's just surprising to me. I honestly thought
remember, I think he was going for Tsunami, so Nicho Sai get it Mix into Puppet Mat range, and Tsunami's 2 Prio versus Mix's 3 Prio, so that's definitely why the Mix outsped the Yukama there.
Yeah, it's just a bit unfortunate. Kinu will be picked off here. It's all about the side pat now. Ice Stalactite will do very little damage. An attack-based attack, not only that, is on Mashuk. So Mashuk does not care a single bit. Urushio is thrown out just to do double damage there. And Buffduck looks like he will be securing this one, unless by some miracle the side pat summons a Tsunami. But I doubt it here. Side Surge will be thrown out as well.
Yeah, Side Surge, effective damage. So just like that, Buffduck will be cleaning up Dr. Gustavo, but still really well played. A little bit better than game 1 for sure. But my final started. None other, again, we got Ronin versus Ronin. So Kamiii versus Marnefarmer. A little bit of what we saw in the very first round of Swiss. And going off that, Kamiii did edge out Marnie in that round. So let's see if things are going to play out the same, or if Marnie comes coming with some vengeance here for the very first game.
Absolutely. I mean, if your teammates as well, it's quite big because you know exactly what the other team is packing, right? You just have to well outplay someone. And usually in these kind of games, this is where you see misplays due to over planning, right, or overthinking, because you're like, oh, he's gonna know I'm gonna do this, so I'm gonna do this to surprise him. But of course, sometimes the most obvious play is the best play, and we'll have to see how this goes. The Kinu immediately banned by Kamiii removes the supporting supporter, so you cannot have the sort of classic opening there. But Kamiii allows the what you gonna do about it opening immediately countered by the Madrid pickup though, so
yeah,
has his own way to stop that.
And if you look at Marnie's side, usually the best answer to something like Madrid is the Mashuk, but Mashuk is nowhere to be found. You do got a solid Taru, but Taru doesn't have things like uppercut. You have a perfect jab, but it's not going to be one-shotting it like a Mashuk uppercut would on this Madrid. So yeah, we see here Marnie does indeed pick up the Taru, try to apply some pressure, maybe perhaps thinking of doubling into the Madrid spot. Who is he going to be joining Taru there with? Eyeing the Valash, not too bad. But then it kind of leaves Kamiii with a solid raise perhaps. And Madrid Mudshower does a lot to Valash as well, so maybe not the most ideal.
It'll be quite interesting here, Marnie going for the Volarant straight up here. And this was kind of the opening I was expecting. Then you have perfect jab into Feather Gatling to potentially pick off the Madrid, and I'm interested to see what Kamiii picks up second here. This is sort of this is one of those moments where you can't really counter Marnie's opening. It's quite solid, so and Tanner would pick up as well, so you have that solid second pick as well. Pick Epic immediately banned, so getting rid of the support as soon as possible, because again, as most of us know, Barnshi is not the support you would rather have if you had a Pick Epic or keep your pool.
Exactly. So Kamiii doing playing it really well, knocking out the supports from Marnie, only allowing that Barnshi, which even some crystal dust from the Madrid is not going to be, Barnshi's not going to be liking it too much. But Marnie eliminating the race, so is not a fan of that speed control. So let's see how they want to round out their team. So Kamiii picking up the Wimplump and Grandpa, playing a little bit of the turbo game. Both Mudrid and Tataru have turbo choreography, so good synergy going on for his roster so far. And this is the thing about eliminating support, you're kind of stuck going with Barnchy, but Marnie's a fan of Barnchy. He actually prefers Barnchy over some of the other ones, so maybe he's making it work here. And perhaps rounding out the team with another crystal damage dealer. Because against all this wind, maybe Grandpa not the best. Valash obviously does more against it, but that Mudrid, the Tataru, could be a bit troublesome for that Valash, so maybe Grandpa not too bad.
Oh, it's picked up here. Marnie, going for the Gaialis Wolverine as main damage dealers. Of course, Barnchy can do a lot as well, but Wimplump and Grandpa are there to secure that damage, and Kamiii is figuring out whether or not he wants support or a tank, and it will be interesting to see what he decides on.
Yeah, I think they're both solid. I mean, they both have their value. He doesn't have any supports. You know, he has the turbo stuff from Tataru Mudrid, but he doesn't have anything. You know, he has no hypnosis going on his side. He has no bamboozles, of course, so maybe that could be something. But Voldemort always solid, always solid. Those Noxious Bomb, those Feather Gatling are gonna be doing good work, but deciding to go with a bit of the support. So here we go, game number 1 of our semifinals. Who's gonna be edging ahead? Let's see what these opening turns have in store for us. You know what, Blue?
Well,
By the Tataru start, maybe this is a physical based Mudrid, because maybe Tataru wants to go, of course, with like a perfect jab followed by something like a crystal bite. But you know, most Mudrids are not physical based, but you know, I'm thinking if he wants to go with the classic P jab start, maybe, but I don't know.
It is quite interesting what this is looking like.
And it looks like it wasn't at all, so not trying to take a one hit, because a perfect jab Feather Gatling maybe did the job. So let's see what Marnie decided to do. So solid Noxious Bomb onto it, but it cost him the snare. If Voldemort had a really good item like Sweatband, it might have cost him.
Yeah, perfect jab gonna connect, and the trade 1-for-1 here. The Pig Epic already taking quite a bit of impact, but regardless, is okay for the moment. But Marnie now gonna try and set up this Wolverine.
Yeah, and something to note, Marnie's TV is not exactly in line with the strategy he wanted to deploy. Usually we always see the perfect jab go first before the physical damage, but in this situation the Noxious Bomb actually connecting first, so not the most ideal, but maybe he knew that was happening, or I hope he did anyways.
Yeah, that's a bit rough. That goes to show that this Wolverine has quite a bit more speed. I mean, to be fair, Tataru is slower than Wolverine, I believe, like naturally, or unless I'm lying there.
No, I think Vola's faster. I think Tataru's a slowpoke.
Yeah, like naturally, Tataru should be faster. So, Wolverine should be faster. So, if it's a maxed out Wolverine or something along those lines, Marnie will not be able to pull off that combo with a Wolverine. So swap out to the Barnchy actually. Gonna be eating that perfect jab. Obviously, it's not gonna do much, but psych, Kamii's gonna use a turbo choreograph instead. Gonna try and outspeed, but exactly, Marnie immediately reading the situation as well. Gonna play for the speed. Hypnosis is gonna be thrown out as well, and the Tataru will be put to sleep. Doesn't put it on the Barnchy slot. Very nice there from the side of Kamiii.
Yeah, solid plays. So no major slash or anything coming out for Marnie's Tataru this next turn. But now the pressure's kind of back onto Kamiii here. This Barnchy's on the board. You know, it does tend to run things like a beta burst that's effective damage into the Tataru, so that's something Kamiii should be thinking about. However, No, I think Barnchi's faster than Pig. I was about to say if the Pig could get off a good bamboozle on the Tadru. But I think Kamii's thinking about a swap here. The question is maybe the Mudrid to try to pressure back.
I mean, depends on what the Mudrid is TV spreaded like. I mean, the Barnchi obviously will be scared, but it's not like the Mudrid is safe as well, because perfect jabs will add up. Like, I mean, the defense reduction is quite big, because a perfect jab on a -5 defense Madrid will kill it. It's not going to, there's no way to heal the Madrid as well. So I doubt it'll make it to -5 defenses at this point, but still, the Madrid swap-in might be a bit interesting. Gaialis will come out, speaking of swap-ins. We'll try and heat that up most likely, and it looks like the Grandpa will be coming out as well for the turbo choreography from the Pig Epic, just to speed that up. And this Pig's now 4 speed, ready to use that hypnosis to his advantage, but relax. Gonna make sure that this Gaialis gets a free heat up no matter what. Very smart play from Marty.
Yeah, smart indeed. Guaranteed that free heat up, the freest heat up we've seen all tournaments. So relax, coming in clutch for Marnie here. You know, if it wasn't for that relaxed Pigapet, could have had a solid hypnosis, not allowing Gaialis to get the heat up. So well played so far for Marnie. And now with the heat up, the pressure's coming pretty heavy onto Kamiii. He doesn't have too much things that resist it. Of course Mudrid can, but you know, if Marnie reads it and does a Haidu Uchi instead, that Mudrid is going out really fast.
Surprised that the Barnchi also just turbo choreography just to speed up himself and the Gaialis as well. Yes, that only applies 1 speed, but I mean, it gives you more of an advantage, because then Kamiii has to do the math. Is my pig at is my Grandpa at 2 speed faster than a Gaialis at 1 speed? I mean, it's a bit of a question there. Grandpa probably at max speed is probably faster regardless, but again, you still have to sort of figure those things out. With probably coming out here, just trying to set up something, perhaps a turbo choreography. But yeah, coming out turbo choreography immediately from the side of Marty. And again, there's nothing Kamiii could have done about this, as that setup was absolutely free.
Yeah, 100% free. And as you said, Blue, a turbo onto the Gaialis is super clutch there, making Kamiii do a bit of the math there, because now those sharp stabs, you gotta calculate, are you faster at +2 speed? I don't think so. Gaialis is just a bit too fast. But now, I mean, Pigapex here, +4 speed definitely is gonna be outsped, so it could be put to sleep here. Of course, that's just gonna save him 1 turn, so what do you do the following turn is the question. So Marnie swinging, it feels like the momentum is swinging back in his favor from this Ymir Gaialis alone.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned this last week as well, right? Ymir means God. This man, I mean, this girl most likely, if Ymir gets to that point, there will be some hell to pay if you are not careful. If Kamiii isn't careful, in fact. Madrid is still in the back pocket. If you manage to sneak out the Haito and bring Madrid in, then you'll be in a good spot. But Kamiii right now just trying to play the speed game, really does not want to get outsped by the Gaialis, and that is the attempt here he is making. Wimplup's gonna take a bit of to the face though, and I'm not sure if I like where this is going. Wimplup gets punched, but it's not enough. It's not a crystal bite, which would have been close, but Wimplup survives, and that is what's important here.
I do think the crystal bite would have killed her. I think Kamiii was maybe hoping for the Mudra switch in perhaps, but Kamiii just going with a safe turbo play. So max speed Pig on the side of Kamiii, so fastest Temtem in this game. And now you got +2 on the Wimplup, but you're dangerously low. You gotta be careful. 1 sharp stab definitely takes you down, so maybe Kamiii swapping for Mudrid in there now wouldn't be the worst, because there's no melee attacks currently on the board for Marnie, so I can see it being a solid line of play for Kamiii. But maybe, knowing that for Marnie, maybe you want to gun down the Pig, lower it a bit, maybe sharp stab and then beta burst to try to clean things up. That could be also kind of solid for Marnie.
Crazy play, bamboozle into heat up again would be really good here. And oh my god, no way. No way. But Marchio, of course, overexerts. Sharp Brain is completely blocked as expected. But Crystal Bite is thrown out straight into the Pig Epic. Fainted Curse who? Gaialis says. And he takes that.
Yeah, no more bamboozle shenanigans coming out of Kamiii, so eliminated the pig. Well then, it did come at the cost, but Gaialis was at 100%, so still in the green, still at 60%, nothing too crazy. Grandpa does come out at +2 speed, so he has to be careful. Hyperkinetic strikes are going to be doing a decent amount to Gaialis there. But Barnchi at +3 speed, it did overexert though, so no bamboozles on the side of Marnie as well. So could be trying to keep the Gaialis a bit safe here.
Yeah, but bear in mind, there's still Volarant in the back pocket and a Tattler. We might see a Volarant Tattler swap in here and play that speed game. Of course, we might see turbo choreography coming out from this Wimplump, as there is really nothing else better to do. I mean, you can double up on the Gaialis, but of course that's not guaranteed. And Kamiii knows this, so might just play it safe, might play for the long con, but with the Pig Epic down already, and if you look at Marnie's HP pools on his tabs, there's just so much more HP on Marnie's side that playing for the long con, you might not get there. Is hopefully the not going to happen, of course, for Kamiii.
So let's see, both tamers taking their time trying to figure out the best line of play here in this turn 7. So yeah, Gaialis not trying to take more damage than needed, so swapping into Grandpa, perhaps trying to eat a hyperkinetic, and that's exactly what Kamii's trying to do. So well done for Marnie, mitigating that damage.
Ooh, Tsunami thrown in as well. Gonna try and freeze the Barnchi and the Grandpa in place. Obviously, Barnchi has neutrality, so none of those shenanigans, and the Wimplump loses its item. I'm not sure what it was, but snatched up.
Yeah, snatched up, and we saw earlier Kamiii is rocking that sweatband on the Grandpa. Did so much work in the previous matches. Let's see if it's gonna be doing that work for him in this first game in the semis. It's +2 speed, not too bad. Perhaps a solid turbo play again, just to solidify that speed advantage on Kamiii, but that might be a bit passive, maybe just trying to go on the offense. Because that's a 0 speed Grandpa, so no stages of speed on the Grandpa, so maybe, you know, a good sharp brain onto the Grandpa, followed by maybe just a solid Wimburst takes it down if you're able to outspeed. But Marnie, knowing this, maybe just wants to get a good hyperkinetic strike out before that, so I think that's what Marnie's thinking. Let's see if he's going to be deploying that.
Madrid is swapped in here, maybe potentially to threaten the Barnchi. Beta Burst gonna get thrown out here, gonna eat that very easily. Barnchi overexerts again for this. Hypnosis is thrown out, and this Grandpa will be unable to do anything, as it is both about to freeze and is asleep, but neither will be capitalized at this point. Grandpa is just shut down. Barnchi is unable to do anything. So this time Kamiii gets a free round, and remember, Madrid can also turbo.
Yeah, Madrid can turbo. Madrid does have things like Crystal Dust, so Barnchi, I don't know if Crystal Dust is going to be doing the whole 46%, but yeah, I see Kamiii, you know, I think the Barnchi may have overexerted that previous turn, so could be a free turbo. Bring up that Grandpa up to +4, hyperkinetic strike hitting that much more, you know, speed on the Madrid. Now every single Temtem on your team has +2 speed. That's going to be pretty solid for Kamii's side, so it looks like it could be a fair play. And then, you know, a solid Wimburst just to do any kind of damage could be cool. We'll see though. For Marnie, doesn't have too many options if he did indeed overexert on Barnchi. Grandpa sleeping, so as you said, Blue, rather free turn for Kamiii here.
Oh, this is a bit frustrating in the sense that Kamiii is currently, well, Kamiii gets a free turn here. But we might see turbo choreography. I think that is the best play for Kamiii here. Bring back the advantage. Again, you expedite the process of getting to that late stage where you're just way too fast for the enemy, and Marnie can't do anything about it. Marnie has to play positionally rather than for speed at this point in time. So let's swap into the the Voloran here. The Grandpa will be swapped out as well. We'll see what the swap it is. It looks like it will be the Tataru. So the opening that Marnie started with, he'll try to get to that point, but no, there's not a turbo choreography. Voloran will be a hit with that wind burst, but turbo from the mud will happen.
Yeah, so not too bad, not too bad. That is a +4 speed Grandpa with a sweatband, so hyperkinetic strike coming soon. I don't think there's a downside too much to going into the Tataru spot. Of course, you know, Hypnosis is also online, so any target you want, except for, of course, Barnchi, is gonna be put to sleep. So, couple options for Kamiii. I believe Stone Ball does neutral damage to Madrid, or does it? Or I think right.
So on Voloran it does half damage.
No, Stone Ball from Tataru onto Madrid. Is rock resistant to rock? If it is, it does neutral, yeah. But I think it might still do effective damage, just not the 4x since it's a crystal.
I believe it is neutral damage because of crystal and no, it does double damage. You're right. Earth damage does hurt Madrid, which is kind of weird, but yes, it does. It does in fact do double damage to the Madrid. Surprising that Earth isn't weak to Earth isn't resistant to Earth. But that being said, this means this Madrid is even in a bigger threat here.
Yeah, so we haven't even seen any attacks from Madrid. It's just been turbo choreographies. So let's see what attack is going to be coming out. It looks like Marnefarmer taking his time, going to the last 10 seconds of his turn. And of course, he does have things like PF, so it is Crystal Dust. So special attack focus going into the Voloran there. Hypnosis most likely on the Tataru, trying to avoid that melee damage.
Also, it stops turbo choreography, so any form of shenanigans with those, just trying to, like, unfortunately, due to this Tataru being asleep, you can't catch up with how fast this Grandpa is right now. So we will be seeing more hyperkinetic strikes, and this Grandpa is currently uncontested because, again, the only two temps that can provide a turbo choreography right now are either asleep or quite low.
So yeah, I think Kamii's just looking at that left slot. Unfortunately, it does go into that anaerobic Voloran, but fortunately for Kamiii though, it hasn't got the chance to set up too much. It's only chilling at +1 special defense, so not the craziest. You know, if it was a +3, +4, maybe a little out of hand to take these hyperkinetic strikes. But as it stands, it's going to be taking a huge amount of damage from something like a +4 hyperkinetic. We'll see if Kamii's feeling the same way.
We'll have to see here. Both players trying to figure out what they want to do.
Yeah, I don't see any downside. I don't think Voloran has any kill potential, so I feel like Kamiii double up left spot, pretty safe there, but you kind of want to start doing damage on that full HP Tataru too, so maybe a solid +4 HKS on Tataru wouldn't be the worst, but it does let Tataru get a playoff because he is slower than you.
Exactly, and looks like it will be just a noxious bomb here, going the way, just trying to raise the special defense of this Voloran, as unfortunately his partner again asleep, so unable to do much. But that is all she wrote with that situation there.
Yeah, I guess just Kamiii trying to do a safer, more passive play. Gonna be maxing out the speed on the Grandpa. Of course, Hypnosis online, so Voloran can go to sleep, but doesn't mean Wimplem's all that safe. Tataru's back here. He's alerted and has Major Slash ready to go. So Kamiii has to be careful, even if you sleep the Voloran there. Tataru does have that Major Slash online. And any switch, I guess Madrid somewhat, I mean, any Temtem's gonna be taking decent damage from a Major Slash, but we'll see. I mean, Kamiii still hasn't deployed that hyperkinetic strike. but maybe just playing more of a control game here. It needs to start lowering Tatter though. Tatter's a little bit too healthy here. But then you leave the Volrun open. Okay, so there we go. Marnie keeping the Tatter rather safe.
Oh, Hyperkinetic Strike will be thrown out, of course. Just trying to do as much damage as possible. This Grandpa drops to quite low, and the Tornado will ensure that kill. Remember, this was all meant for the Tataru, so Tataru, if you're in that Tem card, watch that Grandpa just sacrifice himself for you, just buy you some time. But of course, Toxic Bloom will guarantee a kill with Whipplum, so it's not a bad trade, but definitely could have been better there for Marnie. The advantage, again, no longer there, I would say, for his side, because again, this speed advantage is just way too big at this point. The Grandpa is so fast.
I mean, he still does have a Gialis in his corner. We can never count out Gialis, but as you said, I mean, an HKS at max speed from a Grandpa is going to be doing devastating amount of damage, and I do think that that double combo that was intended for the Tataru would have actually killed the Tataru there, so good swap out. You know, Grandpa was already around 40% HP, so not the biggest, because going from 100 to 0 is quite the blow. So Tataru gonna be coming out one more time. And same for Kamiii, so Tataru v Tataru. And you know, things are looking pretty even. I mean, 2 Temtems down on the side of Kamiii, the single Grandpa on Marnie. HP looking about the same, 2 in the yellow, 1 in the green, but as we said, Marnie's still with the Gialis, a +2 attack, +1 speed. I still think he has somewhat of a lead here, but the +5 Grandpa making a bit difficult to call. Something to note, at least for this turn, Volrun on Marnie's side did overexert, so the cage coming out.
Yeah, unfortunately, this Volrun is going to sit here and take it to the face, and the Tataru will never get a turbo choreography off, and this is important. Kamiii knows this. If Tataru never gets a speed boost on the Volrun, you will be stuck here being incredibly slow, unable to catch up. Of course, Kamiii already down an extra Tem, means that every advantage helps. And now, Marnie's Tataru is in danger. If you know that Simpson meme, he goes, "I'm in danger." It is the Tataru.
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, I feel like a Volrun is out of here as well. I mean, Tataru does have soft touch, so you could go into the sleeping Tataru on Marnie's side, but I feel like a solid major slash followed by a simple Wimber should be enough to clean up that remaining 55%. Let's see if Kamii's feeling the same way. Before going out, trying to go with the last overexerting move. Oh, and this is going to be more than enough to kill here. So might actually wake up the Tataru here.
No, Grandpa is put to rest because he knows that the Tataru will be moving last, and so Tataru awakens. Volrun no longer there, and again, now you can no longer turbo choreography to catch up to the Grandpa. It is just not possible. You have to play Barnshi if you want to try, but then Barnshi gets hit with Hyper, and you're in a situation where Barnshi could just die as well. So a lot of big factors here that Kamiii could turn this around, and what used to be an early advantage for Marnie suddenly becomes a greater advantage here for Kamiii, because again, he got that long game set up, and unfortunately Marnie wasn't able to capitalize.
And look at that sweatband coming into play, so a single rest plus the sweatband bringing it back up to 75%, almost like he never did anything. So crazy stuff coming out from Grandpa. So Hyperkinetic, as you mentioned, Blue, is back online. The question here, let's look at the speeds for Barnshi. Okay, +3 speed, +2 speed on the Tataru. So Barnshi still got that solid beta burst that we've been seeing previously in this game. You know, all Kamiii really has is this Grandpa here, because the Gialis does check the Mudrid in the back line.
Yeah, but then again, you could put the Gyalis to sleep and then Stone Ball it in the face, which is what most likely could happen here. Cage comes out, Barchi has neutrality, so it's fine, but neither Temp tries to leave. I'm not sure what Marnie was expecting there, but you just let the Tataru get punished severely. Perfect Gem to Magnetic Strike, puts it into the danger zone, but secures a relax, actually, and with Alert, the Tataru is immune, so soft touch, insta give the grandpa, Kamiii has no move.
Yeah, he can't swap out, so guaranteed Major Slash incoming. Is it enough to clean up that 54% on the grandpa? It actually might be. If there was a minus defense, of course, easy answer, but this one's gonna be close. I mean, a double up. At least he has a double up. Barchi and Tataru should be enough to do the good old 1-2. He can also go into Tataru. That is just still neutral damage going his way. A beta burst followed by a major slash most likely gets the job done too. So, you know, has two solid options, but obviously the bigger threat here at hand is the grandpa. So I wouldn't blame Marnie for gunning it down. Let's see if he's gonna be agreeing with us here.
Yeah, I mean, we're back to the relax patch as as both Kamiii is literally unable to do anything. Turbo choreography will be applied here, and this is what I wanted to see from the side of Marnie, just trying to boost her to speed so that it is he no longer is outspent, and this Archie gets insta-gimped by the Tataru, just slashes him out of the universe. And now the Barchi and Tataru will do their best to do as much damage as possible to the Tataru. That way the Madrid will probably be taken care of by a Haito.
Yeah, so beautifully calculated from Marnefarmer, saying I don't even need to put any damage on Grandpa. Major slash from Tataru's enough, so well calculated for him, and you get the extra speed buff on Barchi and the Tataru. So now Tataru being at +3 speed most likely outspeeds the Madrid there, so is a perfect jab doing that 4x damage, enough for that 46%. This is the last two Temtems remaining for Kamiii. Marnie still with the Gyalis in the back line. He's looking fairly good to take this game number 1 here in our semis.
And it will be an amazing win here for Marnie. Gets the revenge, but Crystal Dust goes before, but the Tataru survives as well. Bamboozle is applied, so the Tataru is safe for the rest of this round. Perfect jab, goes straight through, and the Madrid almost goes down. Luckily they're not Barcelona. The evasion applies though from the Tataru, he survives.
Yeah, maybe Madrid gets off one more play. We just saw right there, Madrid with the Crystal Dust does outspeed the Barchi Bamboozle, so Tataru not necessarily safe. However, he still has Gyalis in the back. He could just swap out, apply the pressure onto Madrid. Even a half effective move like Beta Burst takes care of the Madrid, so yeah, Kamiii has to be thinking about that.
Yep, at this point, yeah, right now, the Tataru is gonna get another perfect jab off, most likely, but Crystal Dust will make sure that at least something is punished. Barge doesn't even go down! This Madrid, he's so close to killing two Tems, but neither go down, and the Madrid will be traded for
he might overexert here, let's find out. Yeah, so at least he overexert, guarantee the kill. And Loki going first, but Tataru with a clean perfect jab should be cleaning this up. But now the 1v1, Gyalis versus a low stamina Tataru. I just, you know, one crystal bite, it's probably all it needs. Sharp stab crystal bite should be enough to clean it up. One stone ball definitely doesn't give in for Gyalis there, so yeah. As it stands, just based off the movesets from Gyalis. Oh, and we're forgetting that the Tataru has -1 defense from Loki from the Tataru and Marnie, so Crystal Bite is gonna completely eliminate Tataru for Kamiii. So yeah, this might be GG here.
Yeah, Haito Uchi gets thrown out, and this Tataru drops and is put to sleep. It is not fast enough for this Gyalis. Gyalis will secure the bag here, it seems.
Yep, and just for funsies, it will go with the good old cage overexert. He's saying, Gyalis, I don't even want you to touch me. I'm gonna go down by myself. But GG, Marnefarmer taking game number 1, so getting a big. So this is it, game number 2 of our semifinals. Kamiii just going down 1 game against Marnefarmer, so he's looking to make a comeback here against Marnie, and Marnie's looking to close things out. He says, let me go back to back. He just recently won the Plus Cup on Tuesday, so Marnie is itching for another victory. Let's see if he's gonna make that a reality here.
And now Kamiii, of course, still has a chance into this. He did beat Marnie. It's not impossible. And so we will see in the straight up Rise opening, just to keep that speed advantage. Remember, Marnie hasn't run a Rise himself, so he can't stop Kamiii if he wants to go for that long con. And not only can he now secure the long con, not only does he is already able to secure the long con, he now also has a way to prevent Marnie from catching up at all.
Alright, so picking up the Gyalis despite going up against a Raze, but does mitigate that with the good old Stoneball Taru. So if Raze wants to get off some fire damage onto Gyalis, you got a strong Stoneball. But now Kamiii with the counter pick. How do you want to counter it? Maybe, you know, Mudra's not too bad, but it's kind of risky, so maybe wants to play it a bit more safe, going with the Pig. So Pig as the pickup for Kamiii there. Doesn't seem to have a lot of pressure for the opening turn. It might be a rather free heat up for Marnie there.
Embers is possible though. It's not really like the biggest source of damage, but it is some form of damage. What we're probably going to see is going to be a perfect jab opening into Turbo Choreography, just to nullify what the Rise has done here. Of course, you can't really bolster the speed too much on the side of on the Gyalis rather. You can only slightly speed it up every so often, but you got to stop that -1 speed eventually from the Rise.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna mention. I mean, the biggest takeaway is that Demoralize straight off the bat, Gyalis is the best target to slow down. A slow Gyalis, not too scary. So yeah, slowing down both of those Temtems right off the bat. So I can agree with you, Blue. Maybe Marnie trying to pick up that slack there in terms of Turbo Choreography. But yeah, Kamiii is going to be starting out rather well. But in terms of effective damage, Embers is good. But if this is a support Raze, usually you get support Raze or special attack Raze. So either or, Embers not going to be doing the most amount of damage, especially if this is a high defensive Gyalis. So we're just going to have to find out and see what the opening turns entail. And Blue, did Marnie go Valash Gyalis last game? I don't think he went Valash, right?
No. He did not pick up Valash. Marnie never picked up Valash. My mind would be blown if he picked up Valash right now, because again, Kamiii can outspeed him to the next sunset, and Marnie barely hung on there in terms of keeping up with the enemy team. So if he picked up Valash, that's another Tem that you have to, well, babysit really. I'm not really sure I like the Valash pickup here, but more damage is good, I guess. No, Valoran's gonna be the pickup, of course. Again, you can't really afford to pick up Valash. There's too much babysitting. We might see the exact same composition here, because again, I just don't like Valash, especially since now Rise is in the pool as well. It's gonna be too difficult to maintain two sweepers like that.
Yeah, so it looks like Marnefarmer going with the exact same lineup as the previous turn. It did work out for him, so maybe it'll work out for him one more time. But Kamiii with a bit different, so he did manage to pick up the Raze here. So this could be a key difference in the match. We saw it was Kamiii getting the early speed advantage, so if he able to play it the same way and now demoralizing Marnefarmer's Tems, it could just make a huge gap in terms of speed that might favor him really well. So let's see what these guys are gonna bring to this table for the game number 2. I'm very curious how this opening turn is gonna play out. I mean, the pig has bamboozled, so mitigate the stone ball since stone ball is 1 prio. Raise with the embers onto the Gialis. There's not good. I mean, Raise could swap out, but maybe better swap out when the pig has turbo choreography online for the second turn. But Kamiii going with the swap out immediately. Doesn't want anything to do perhaps with the stone ball.
So Bamboozle apply to the Whiplump, and the heat up is in fact for Freya. The Whiplump swap in is of course in preparation for a double turbo, just to completely outspeed this Gialis straight out the gate in the second turn. And well, with that Bamboozle on the Whiplump, it means that it's not gonna take as much, at least not for the moment. It won't take as much damage.
Definitely, and that was a beautiful read for Marnefarmer saying, hey, I'm not even going after Raise. I'm not going to waste a stone ball 1/4 damage onto a potential Whiplump or a Bamboozle. Going for the pig, so that's a -1 defense. So a Crystal Bite going into pig will most likely kill it. However, it depends on those speeds. A Gialis at -1 speed, so Pigapeg more than likely going to be outspeeding it with something like Bamboozle. So it might be close here. I mean, if the Crystal Bite connects, you still have a solid major slash. However, it's the Gialis with the +2 attack, not the Tatters. So major slash, of course, not going to be doing as much damage as the Gialis. Maybe, as we saw in the previous turn 2, you know, Kamiii has a solid turbo choreography play. And maybe Marnie liked that +1 speed on the Gialis, but it's just going to be bringing Gialis back down to neutral speed. It's always so tough though when you're versing off against a Raise. You try to go up and up and up, but as long as Raise is still alive, you could never truly control it. It's pretty frustrating at times, for sure.
Currently, the setup for Kamiii is most likely double turbo. Of course, he's probably considering trying to do as much damage as well to the Gialis, but he could just play long con. I don't see a problem there. Like, double turbo is very nice. I guess he's concerned that the Gialis will just double up with a Pig Epic again, and that is in fact what he is afraid of. Pig Epic is swapped out for the Rise, just to double slow down this Gialis. But of course, we might see a turbo just to nullify that tsunami. He's gonna come out first though. The speed down is definitely being a very at the moment. Crystal Bite comes out into the Rise, so it was an attempt to kill the Pig Epic. Major Slash and Crystal Bite used there, but the Rise survives, and that is so massive.
Yeah, not too bad for mitigating all that damage, still finding himself in the red. So just 24% remaining on the Raise. So Marnie, I mean, either you kill the pig, that, you know, Kamiii had a turbo play, but that would have cost you the pig there. So Raise, get the demoralize off. That's -2 speed on the Gialis and the Tataru. So not all that bad. It did come at the cost of your Raise health though, so that double up, despite being half damage from the Crystal Bite, it just goes to show you how strong Gialis is. And yeah, I mean, one more attack there, Raise most likely not going to be able to take that. Of course, a Houchic takes it down, but I don't think Kamii's sticking around with this Raise. So Marnie's just thinking about what could be coming out in that spot, because there's no more Bamboozle, so everything is connecting as it stands on the board. And if tradition, if it goes any way as the previous game, we have been seeing Tataru with the good old cages, so maybe just trying to say enough is enough with these demoralizers. Let's kill this dang lion before it gets out of control. So maybe that's a potential play, but you kind of trapping yourself in a way. Because what's in the back? What would really threaten if he did cage? He doesn't have the Mudrid. You know, I don't think cage is all that negative.
Yeah, I mean, cage is ultra priority, so nothing. The Kamiii can put the Tataru at -5 speed, it wouldn't matter. But unfortunately, Unfortunately for the side of Marnie, he lets the Rise leave, and Barchi comes in here, trying to nullify what Rise has already done, which is fair enough, but that Gaialis is staying at -2, which is my biggest concern, really, is that you can't really stop the Gaialis from slowing down unless you want to basically spend a turn trying to nullify it. So already Kamiii looking very, very good in this opening.
Yeah, Marnie's looking strong, so brought out that combo there. We've seen it before. The cage to relax isn't the most ideal here. Maybe you want to make sure the pig goes down, but I don't know if you can actually do that. If it was -2 defense and then the major slash, but look at the stamina so far for Tattoo. He's not going to be, it might be a bit ambitious for him to do all that, so that's most likely not going to be coming out here this turn. So yeah, gonna swap out. What's coming in? Okay, solid grandpa. So maybe Marnie just setting up more turbo choreographies.
Yeah, just continuing the speed up here, trying to match the speed game. But this also means Gaialis will probably no longer be able to really influence the fight at this point. Tsunami gonna get thrown out here. Barnshi gonna take a little bit more damage, but the grandpa getting cold-breathed is probably going to happen sometime in the future.
Yeah, it could. I mean, they're both at +2, so grandpa's faster, so I don't think Cold Breeze would be that nice, but Barnchi with a +4, so fastest Temtem on the current board. So we do know those have some bamboozles. So, you know, bamboozle grandpa, save it from something like a sharp rain from the Wimplump. That's what these tamers are thinking about. But knowing that, maybe you want to throw in a sharp rain over to Barnchi's side. But you know, Barnchi's not the only one with some bamboozle action. The pig as well. But no one's truly pressuring anything. I mean, Wimplump with these water techniques, it's about the most damage that should be coming out. Of course, Grandpa with the hyperkinetics, maybe, but it's win-on-win damage, never the most. Oh, are we about to see a relax here? I have a feeling.
Our brain though might shut it down. The Barchi will not live to get the relax off. The play will completely be out of it, and Kamiii takes a solid lead now in terms of speed and Temps.
Yeah, that one prio on the relax coming so much into play there. That was most likely the line of play, and then it just lets Ymir Gyalis run away with the game. But there we go. The sharp rain, as I mentioned, it could have been good against Grandpa, but going into the Barnchi was a beautiful play for Kamiii. So well done, bringing things back around in his favor. But now you still got to deal with Gyalis. That's a heat up Gyalis, so not the easiest threat. But fortunately for Kamiii though, it's at -2 speed, so those bamboozles 100% to go off before your Gyalis. So now is pick and choose. Where do you think the Gyalis is going to be hitting?
Yeah, Gyalis potentially might be hitting. It's just such a struggle because no matter what here, the Gyalis will move last. That is my problem, and it surely is Marnie's problem now. -3 speed of this Gyalis. Gyalis will never see the light of day again. The Pig Epic will be put to sleep though. This Gyalis has to do work, and we'll see where it goes. Crystal Bite will finally kill Rise, but at what cost? This Gyalis is so slow.
Yeah, but not the worst whatsoever. The Rise is out of the picture. I mean, you're at -3 speed, but your damage is still there. So if you can make sure to not die, if you can output the damage, that's still going to be an immense amount of damage coming out from that Gyalis. So you could be slow, you know, you just got to take it as it is. You know you're the slowest Tem on the board, but if you're not going to eat a hypnosis, if you know no bamboozles coming out since the pig is asleep, damage is damage. So it could be rather free damage onto this Wimplump spot there. He just used Crystal Bite though, so it's not going to be the hardest hitting attack.
Huh. This is the Gaialis, of course, still has Haito, so it's still possible to put the Wimplump to sleep, but the Wimplump will get some action. The benefit of using Haito Uchi is, of course, that the opponent's Tem no longer gets to do anything. That's why Gaialis is so fast, but Gaialis is no longer fast at all.
Of course. So we'll see what these guys have. I mean, the damage is out here. It's guaranteed to connect since the pig is sleeping. So it's who you want to go. The pig is at -1 defense. So actually, no, he doesn't have Crystal Bite online. So I think he's just doubling into that right spot.
Windburst connects on Wimplump, but it does very little. Tsunami is thrown out as well here, just to do a lot of damage on the Gaialis and the Grandpa. And the Haito Uchi does come out, but remember, again, as I mentioned, the benefit of Haito usually is that it's really fast. But alas, that is not the case.
You know, that Tsunami did a lot more than I thought it would on the Gaialis there, so perhaps maybe a little bit less HP or special defense and maybe more into the speed. But yeah, the Wimplump, I mean, Wimplump of course could be just super high on special attack as well, but definitely doing a bit more than I would assume. I might be used to it having always a Kinu buff, that could be it, but it seemed to do a bit more. But on the plus side though, Wimplump does have Tornado online, so I was just about to say Gaialis is not safe. Marnie realizing that, let's see if he was able to, if Kamiii was able to read anything here.
Yeah. Tornado comes out as well. Voloran will take that to the face, but the Voloran not set up as well. Bamboozle applied on the Wimplump. There's just a lot of defensive abilities here for Kamiii, just trying to buy as much time as possible.
Yeah, and interesting enough, I mean, Voloran was the best pick to try to eat up that tornado, but it hasn't started setting up. No stages of special defense just yet. Maybe it starts off now. We might see a good old Noxious Bomb. Kamiii trying to solidify that speed advantage, and I think he's doing a great job doing just that.
Windburst connects again, just trying to do as much damage as possible here. Noxious Bomb as well thrown out, and it is a decent strategy to try and just attack in rather than set up, or if Marnie has no way to set up, that is probably the best way to deal with this. But the gap is widening, and Hypnosis Hypnosis thrives in these situations because you just put the entire enemy team to sleep, and Kamiii can do that. Like at the moment, you can literally just shut down the Voloran and Grandpa on the side of Marnie. There's nothing you can do about it. And yes, you can hyperkinetic strike, but I would say you'd rather put them to sleep. Voloran and Grandpa on the side of Marnie are like at the same speed at the moment though, so at least that is currently the situation.
Alright, Gaialis goes to see if Kamiii wanted to go with the hyper. Nope, going with the turbo, so definitely solidifying some speed. Grandpa most likely trying to sleep. Okay, sleeping the Grandpa really good, so knows hyperkinetic can't come online until this turn and the next, so Gaialis feeling rather safe. You know, the only issue here, we did see a line of play for Marnie where he gunned down the pig with his Gaialis, but he can no longer eat that Fainted Curse. That's going to drop him to just around 8%, so not the most ideal. And of course, pig is faster, +5 versus -3 speed. There's no question about that. You could simply bamboozle yourself and you could save it from the pig. But knowing that, Marnie could just choose to go some good damage. Being the slowest Tem on the board does have some benefits. Even if you wake a Tem up, you know it's not going to get up on attack. Oh, whoa, Marnie with the 5-head play, gonna be waking up his Ymir. Whoa! Holy madness!
The Gaialis gets that pick off, and again, who cares if I'm the slowest thing alive? As long as my Gyalis is able to strike. That's all that matters, and he gets that kill efficiently. Grandpa getting shut down is absolutely solid. Marnie really does not want Kamiii to get back into this game. Wimpluff comes back out though, and again, Rise is dead, so your speed plan is gone. The late game is here for Kamiii, but unfortunately the grandpa is in the grave. So yeah. Marnie with an advantage.
An absolutely amazing play from Marnie, reading it to perfection, knowing the pig was gonna hypnosis the Gyalis. Grandpa hitting the Gyalis with the Windburst, waking it up in the exact same turn, letting that slowpoke crystal bite come through and eliminating the Grandpa one more time before a devastating hyperkinetic strike. So this is the constant denominator, if you will, between the game 1 and game 2, is that Grandpa wasn't able to get off a devastating hyperkinetic strike on the Gyalis, or rather on any Temtem. So really well done on the side of Marnie. That was a beautiful play, if I do have to say so.
Yeah, absolutely. Very solid play. Marnie, he had to be resourceful to bring this game back, and he certainly did. Shuts out one of the fastest Tems. Most of the setup of Kamiii went into that Grandpa. If you take a look, the Pig Epic and Grandpa were the number 1, the number 2 Tems that really had that setup. But now only Pig Epic has it, and Pig Epic with no sweatband means you cannot perma bamboozle, and even if you could, bamboozle isn't that kind of ability anymore. You can't just bamboozle and pray for the best. At this point in time, Marnie has the advantage, and again, as I mentioned, who cares that my Gyalis is -3 speed? There's a reason why he's called Ymir, then there's a reason why Ymir translates to God, as
yeah,
Marnie.
You know, I'm surprised because Marnie, just like he did in his previous games, he's running sweatband on that Gyalis. So Kamiii not going with the ban on it, maybe not noticing it right away. But yeah, the Ymir just doing so much in these games. So out comes the pig, perhaps trying to get off. Oh no, I thought it was at lower HP. So no FC curse.
Yeah, puts the Tattoo to sleep. Quite a solid play there. I'm gonna start focusing the Pig Epic, and this, I really like this. Basically, Marnie is trying to take out the fastest Tems on the side of Kamiii as soon as possible, because Kamiii can't afford to keep turboing, right? Surely not. He doesn't have the HP to sacrifice. The reason why speeding up is so good is because you have enough Tems that can compensate for this, for the lack of damage in the early stages. But Marnie now has a Tem advantage and has HP advantage, so you can't just, oh, my Wimpluff is too slow turbo. It's not gonna be a safe play. So we'll have to see.
Yeah, Marnie does feel like he's having a bit more of the momentum here in this game number 2. He just has to make sure, the Wimpluff's still a heavy hitter, could possibly still sharp brain the Grandpa a little bit later, but as it stands on the board, the pig not going to be doing any sort of pressure, so hyper onto the Tattoo, making sure it gets decent damage off, well over 50%.
Yeah, and Grandpa overexerts to do so, and he outplays Kamiii completely, and hyperkinetic strike and shut down the Tattoo for good. Kamiii tried it! He tried to wake up the Taru, but Grandpa beats him to the punch, and Grandpa is not punished!
Yeah, so insane plays coming out from Marnie here, and actually it was just a bit of a misread there. I think Marnie was just simply gonna hyperkinetic strike into the Taru spot, but Kamiii actually helping him out a bit. So simple Windburst doing about 5-10% damage on the Tattoo, adding a little bit more nail on that coffin, if you will. So final 2 Temtems. That's a Volerin with +2 special defense going up against a Wimpluff. Fortunately for Kamiii, he does got things like Bamboozle, but Marnie, knowing that, could just choose to gun down the pig here. So rather tough situation Kamii's finding himself in against Marnie here.
Grandpa gets swapped out. The Gyalis comes back in here, but I'm not sure if that really matters at this point. Hypnosis is thrown out on the Volerin just to shut it down, ensure that it is unable to do anything. And Tsunami was thrown out again. I believe the Gyalis
this might kill. If I think it was doing this much damage. Oh,
it's not even enough. The just so many shortcomings. This isn't even Kamii's fault at this point. This is more like Marnie calculating it perfectly. Kamiii in the chat going ... every single time he's been shut down. I believe this is the third time in a row that, again, it just doesn't work in Kamii's favor.
Yeah, the thing here though is Gyalis is so slow. Even a cold breeze from the Wimplump will make sure that even with the sharp stab, it still outspeeds. So Gyalis not necessarily going to be able to get off anything. You even got a tornado if you want to, but not even necessary. Honestly, a wind burst from the pig, potentially the better play, and just leave a solid tornado going into Volarant. It is an anaerobic Volarant, so it won't kill it, of course. But let's see. I'm curious here if Marnie just chooses to sack the Ymir. Oh, going with the Bamboozle Soap. Still playing it a bit passive.
Ooh, Toxic Plume though comes out, just trying to take out the Pig Epic as soon as possible. He tacked down as well. Not the biggest deal in the world, but mostly the special defense being raised is what's important. Blizzard is thrown out onto the Gyalis spot, so Gyalis will be secured. And that's gotta be a frustrated Blizzard, surely, because you don't really Blizzard a Gyalis in that spot. Definitely, it was definitely more so just in case it swapped, but also at the same time, if anything, just get rid of the Gyalis. It's over with. Get me out, essentially, right? It's more so of a finally.
You know what it could be, Blue? I don't think he runs Cold Breeze. I actually do remember. I don't think we've seen a Cold Breeze, so he did a Blizzard just because he's not running it actually. So it is what it is. It didn't cost him too much. Of course, it is a whole move, so Patient does recover that 15% additional stamina back. So not all the bad. You still got some stamina to work with for the Wimplump. But now it's still the final 2 Temtems against the remaining 3. If Pig Epic overexerts, Wimplump is going to be going down to a simple Noxious Bomb. Tataru's here. How are you taking 75% out of this Tataru? I mean, Sharp Brain, Tornado, those are going to help out. But those are moves, Tornado could have helped to take down the Vola too. So, yeah, Marnie looking in the driver's seat for this game number 2.
Right now, yeah, Marnie in a position of power here. Let's see if he can convert this win. Only 2 Tems remain between him and victory, but they're quite fast. Tornado does a lot of damage to the Tataru, but not quite enough. This Noxious Bomb is going to be lethal surely on the Wimplump, and it is. So Wimplump will be going down. It's just Pig Epic, and Pig Epic has overexerted this
Yeah,
Tataru.
we got a major slash most likely. Tataru hasn't gone out. So yeah, major slash on the pig, closing it out. So GG Marnefarmer making some 5-head plays, but hey, respect to Kamiii as well. Really well played. So GG for sure all around. But Mr. Marnefarmer finding himself back. So here we go. Literally every single match in this tournament has been leading up to this point. The finals of this Plus Weekly Tournament number 18. None other than Buffduck versus a previous champion, Marnefarmer. Let's see how Buffduck wants to adjust to Marnie's team, because looking at Marnie is pretty meta-centric, and Buffduck a little bit of the opposite, if you will. It looks like, not too much, the formal meta, it's still strong Temtems, but as we're used to seeing it, not too many of those on Buffduck's side.
Yeah, Buffduck mostly running as sort of a semi-anti-meta strategy, where a lot of these Tems you'll see in Buff's team counter meta Tems. Wimplump does not have fun, obviously, against Platymus. It's just not gonna have a good time. Yes, it's a win Tem, but Platymus, Urushiol, it's just a lot of damage as well. Again, there is also Gyalis weakness. Of course, Sapphire is very good against that. So it's anti-meta. It's absolutely anti-meta here for Buffduck, but there's a reason why they're still picked up, and that, again, that is because they can deal with these main-centric Tems, and the Volarant ban immediately from Buffduck, of course, does not want any win Tems, but unfortunately, he's not going to get that. There is 3 win Tems on the side of Marnie, and Buffduck has, if I see correctly, 0 electric Tems, so no lightning is going to be being shot out here unless Golder has pocketed a Gazuma under his belly. and cheats his way to victory. But
yeah, he ate
well,
one. Gonna throw it up a little bit later in the middle of the match. But no, in all seriousness, Marnie eliminating the fire threat early, so he does know he has some crystal threats that he doesn't want to get too countered there, so we'll eliminate Mastion. And it looks like Buffduck with a couple of water temps gonna be taking water and of course toxic temps, so Volerant's solid ban for him. And Marnie starting off something we haven't seen so far, so Grandpa Giales as the opening.
Yeah, the grandpa, Giales. I'm actually surprised. Well, I'm not actually surprised Grandpa is picked up. It's kind of obligated to pick up Grandpa at this point. Again, Marnie cannot afford to get another Windtem banned here, but most likely Buffduck will probably remove Pig Epic next, just because it's such a major factor. Again, Buffduck probably doesn't mind a Kinu. Of course, personally, I think Kinu would very much ruin his team's sort of objective. Necessarily Revitalize is so good, the stats gains are so good, but he opts into an opening with Mix Sapphire, which is going to be interesting, because at this point that does mean that this Giales is not the safest in the world. The Sapphire is very good at being stalwart. If it has the trait where Sapphire can overexert, that's also very good as well. The Sapphire could potentially run Extinction, which is also very, very problematic, lest you manage to relax Cage, but it's quite difficult to get both of those at the same time, of course. So this is going to be interesting.
Yeah, very, very interesting. And yeah, picking up the Sapphire, so solid pressure onto Giales. If he wants to go with the heat up, a Crystal Spike followed by a strong Embers from Sapphire is going to be taking Giales quite low, so not any bit of a free heat up whatsoever for Marnie. Buffduck picking up the Mashok, eyeing the Platymus, so getting that Eurosoul synergy online for both of those temps, and still online with the Volerant pickup as well.
If Marnie picks up Valash, I actually don't mind Valash here. Sapphire is gonna be annoying, yeah, but the Tataru is here to stonewall. I wouldn't mind it. I think Valash is fine in this team, and if your Giales is gonna be the main focal point, that leaves the Longevity Master, right, to do his work and do what he does best, which is survive at 5% HP and completely annoy the enemy team.
I can see that. So Marnie, we didn't see him pick up the Double Trouble Crystal Bundle, but he's picking it up here. So the Giales Valash and the Kinu. Oh my god, this is gonna be tough. I mean, Marnie just has such these meta tems. The Kinu Giales Valash can almost single-handedly take down a team. But looking at Buffduck, you know, the anaerobic Volerant's a solid answer to Valash, of course, to mitigate all that damage. Mashoka's a strong one as well. Sapphire not going to be making it too easy, so not completely out, but usually when you see something like a Kinu plus these two crystal threats, is sometimes so tough to try to get through. But the Golder will see play here in our finals, so this is it. Game number one. Not just yet, of course, best of 3, so not right now someone's gonna get crowned a champion, but very soon. Let's see how the opening turn, of course, is gonna play out. We did mention Giales not necessarily safe with that heat up, so I'm curious if Marnie wants to take the risk, or is he gonna meet with the early swap?
How it goes about here. Marnie versus Buffduck. Right now, you cannot sleep on Sapphire. Sapphire, if you guys didn't know, does have a heat up. So if Buffduck is running a heat up Sapphire, I am ready for it.
Yeah, let's see. It could be, you know, Marnie gets scared, retreats to Giales, and now Buffduck has a solid heat up on the Sapphire, so the mind games are pretty real here. I mean, keeping things standard, double into Giales doesn't seem too bad, but now if Giales does swap, and it looks like it's going to be the Grandpa, so protecting. Marnie's going hard on the heat up here, committing to it. Kinu buff is gonna mitigate a good amount of damage
Swap
there.
out occurs here, and the crystal spikes actually deals a lot of damage to the Kinu. Does not pick it off, but the heat up does come out. So the trade will favor the side of Buffduck here. Kinu already dropped to very low HP by that mix, but the heat up trade is going to be scary. We're gonna see some fireworks.
Yeah, that indeed, and something to note, Capfire's heat up did indeed go first, so Gialis was the last to move, so Capfire faster than Marnefarmer's Gialis here, so they're both at +2 attack. Crystal Spike of course being 3 prio, but this is danger zone. If Mix stays in, a Crystal Bite from the Gialis is gonna literally one-shot it 100 to 0 real quick, so Buffduck could be considering swapping there. And maybe Capfire to go into... Does Capfire have Meteor Swarm? I can't even remember. I don't see too much of Capfires.
The reason why we don't see Capfire more often with the heat up is because he doesn't have Meteor Swarm. That is the main reason why. Is because he only has Embers as his attack base. But you have to bear in mind, Capfire is also the 6th fastest Tem in the game naturally, which means that if you have any speed investment, at least enough to outspeed base Gialis, you will be a very big threat because enough Embers will kill a Gialis. So swap into a Mashuk here, so Crystal Bite will at least be absorbed. And having a sacrifice actually comes out on the Gialis, making sure that it is longevitized, it is surviving the next attack. At least Sharp Stabs is thrown out. The Mashuk will eat that just fine, and the Embers that will inevitably come out here for the side of Buffduck will do a lot of damage still, but resistance prevents the burn, and that is what's important. The Gialis can't get burned here. This is another reason why we don't see Capfire counter Gialis that much, is because you can't really burn the Gialis anyway.
Yeah, and that's the benefits of that resistance trade of course, but still with the sacrifice going first is still solid 30% damage, so not too bad. Of course it does mean that it takes more than 3 of those, but you know, you were faster than the Gialis. So Embers, you know, Ymir does have a Haido Uchi, but not gonna be able to go off before the Capfire. So let's see what Marnefarmer bringing out the Tataru. So we saw, I don't think he's running Stoneball because we did see the movesets earlier. So Capfire only feeling the pressure from Gialis here, and Capfire is gonna be moving first. So not completely the worst situation for Buffduck here.
Yeah, but now you have to be careful as a Capfire. The Tataru can of course Stoneball into Major Slash. It'll be a big threat here. Urushiol of course is also still usable here by the Mashuk, but it does make it so Capfire is a back pocket, and again, swapping is very... you avoid it if possible. Haido Uchi does come out on the Capfire, though the trade does favor the Gialis against. There's no defense on this Capfire uppercut. They're just doing as much damage, but look at that! It just tickles the Gialis. The perfect jab comes out on the Capfire as well, reducing the defense. I'm surprised there is no Stoneball. Maybe the Tataru does not have it.
Yeah, I mean, just looking, we did say lock moveset, so if we just play it back from these previous turns, it was a perfect jab. We saw the turbo, we saw the cage, and we saw the Major Slash, so you know, just making the deductive reasoning, there's no Stoneball in on Marnie's side, but still, perfect jab on the Capfire, pretty solid. So you know, can't live any more attacks coming out from Marnefarmer. The thing, we just saw it though, it did 30% damage. Capfire goes first, so Capfire has lethal right now on Gialis. Does Marnie recognize this? Because he can't leave it in. Tataru shouldn't outspeed. If Capfire is faster than Gialis, it's definitely faster than Tataru. Major Slash is available for the Tataru. So I believe Major Slash is 3 prio, or is it 2 prio? I'm trying to remember. Normal prio, yeah, normal prio.
Normal prio, right. So it is slower than Embers in that case. Oh, no, Embers is the same speed. So if the Tataru is faster here, Capfire dies. So not even chanced by Buffduck. He does not want to let that happen. Wants Urushiol instead to guarantee a kill on the Gialis, and he might actually do so. Urushiol is applied. the Gyalis is doomed to die. Major Slash is thrown out as well. On the Goulder's position, the Major Slash gonna do a lot of damage, but the Goulder is tanky. So Goulder will take it. But the Gyalis is dead. For sure now.
Yeah, for sure. However, oh no, never mind. The Kinu already went down. So yeah, the sacrifice, I forgot about that. So yeah, you're absolutely right, Blue. Buffduck guaranteeing this Gyalis to go down. So Marnie gonna be only reliant on that Valash that hasn't even got a madness buff. Sapphire is still chilling in the back. Houchic still hanging out here. So yeah, Buffduck seemingly pulling a bit ahead in terms of overall momentum. It might have been an early sacrifice, but you know, hindsight 2020, I mean, you know, if you can get off one more revitalized, but I thought the sacrifice play coming in pretty clutch there. It's just the Sapphire did that much damage onto Gyalis. Usually you don't see it, but the heat up Sapphire doing so much work.
Exactly. Crystal Bite comes out though, just really trying to trade, and he succeeds. And this is super big for Marnie. At least he evens out. Orusho is thrown out again on the Gyalis side, just securing that kill. But that's a worth it trade. Gyalis got 2 kills. Or not 2 kills, but a lot of damage on Sapphire and killed the Goulder. So that's still a lot of impact, and the sacrifice quite literally was not in vain there.
Yeah, not at all, not at all. I mean, Gyalis as always tends to do so much work in these games, and it did just that, taking down Big Boy Goulder and doing a whole lot to Sapphire, which is obviously one of the carries for Buffduck here. So Buffduck trying to stay with the toxic synergy so far. Valoran is going to be coming out, so Urshul back online. However, Grandpa's hanging out here. Fortunately though for Buffduck, there's no speed increases on the Grandpa, so Houchic relatively safe. I mean, a hyperkinetic strike is gonna hurt, but most likely won't do the full 78% remaining on the Houchic. So maybe Taru's thinking about a turbo play himself. We gotta see though. I mean, possibly a turbo play for both players, but a bit risky. I think if Marnie wants to be more aggressive and doubles into Houchic, perhaps maybe hyper, maybe actually no, perfect jab shouldn't do enough.
No. The Tataru, if it does not have Major Slash, it should have Major Slash. No, it does have Major Slash. So the Houchic will be swapped out here for the Mix, actually, just try to shut down this Tataru early, because remember, Mix does a lot of damage onto the Tataru. Hypnosis is gonna shut down, but the mental Tem says no, that does not work like that. Turbo choreography going to apply though. Just making sure the speed up is available, and Major Slash will be a big threat later. But the Feather Gatling gonna soften up the Tataru just for that side surge to one shot the Tataru with that aerobic bowler. And remember, Buffduck has that, but I'm not sure how effective that is against the Grandpa.
Yeah, of course. I was just gonna say that. I mean, effective damage dealer for sure, but that does come at a cost. That's a glass cannon right there in the Vola. So Grandpa being +2, Volan at -1 special defense. I don't know if it's gonna go 100-0 right away, but a potential double up. As you mentioned, Blue, now Major Slash is back online, so a double from those two Tems definitely will take it down. However, on the other side for Buffduck, a double, something like a side surge, something like a hyperkinetic strike onto Taru definitely takes it down too. So 2 potential kill potentials on the respective sides. Who's gonna flinch? Who's gonna stay firm? It all depends on what they calling out for the reads.
Yeah. At this point, again, it does seem like Buff has an extra Tem, but the Sapphire at 28% HP with -1 defense, Ninja Jutsu might kill it if the Valash has it, or in fact a Crystal Spike is more than enough. So Sapphire will eat whatever attack comes through so that the Bowlerin won't have to, and it does eat it. That's big, which means Hyperkinetic Strike will not be available against the Bowlerin, but the Sapphire will be shut down, so the trade 1-for-1 is effective there. But Major Slash will be thrown out as well. The Mix will eat that. It's only half damage because it is a Crystal Temp, but half damage is still so much. Crystal Spikes is thrown out on the Grandpa here, just trying to soften up the blow, as the Tataru has overexerted, therefore is unable to do anything, which is the bigger problem, because now Grandpa is low with no hyper against the Valoran. Nick still has spikes, and he is going to lose this trade now.
Yeah, 100%. The Valorant with a solid, I don't know if he has to hyperkinetic to do it. I do think, you know, the Crystal Spike just did close to 47% exact, right? So another 40%, you're just asking for literally 6-7% on from the Valorant to clean things up on the Grandpa, which I even think a Feather Gatling should do the job. Of course, he does have access to something like Plume, so you do 12.5% damage from the poison, obviously enough. So yeah, the pressure back onto Marnie's side. That was a beautiful swap. Sapphire wasn't probably going to do too much. Valorant, on the other hand, still has a lot of potential, especially with a hyperkinetic strike. Trying to get it deployed, most likely for the Valash before the Madness buff hits. But no.
Yeah, Hypnosis does come out first, which means the Valorant might have been trying for a Feather Gatling. So Crystal Spike's gonna come out and will not be lethal on the Grandpa, which is good. It buys him an extra turn. Tataru now has Major Slash again, and we might just see the Valorant not be touched at all, pick up the mix, and you Crystal Spikes the Valorant instead. Remember, it reduces special defense every time it wind attacks, so it's not very fun to be a Valorant in this situation, an aerobic Valorant in this situation where you know there's a Valash in the back pocket.
Yeah, very true. So Grandpa back with the hyperkinetic strike. It might have to overexert just a tad bit, might not actually kill it. So, you know, maybe wants to go into the mix, but no, 74% maybe a bit too much. If it was +4 speed, I do think it would kill. So yeah, we might be seeing a solid hyperkinetic strike onto the Vola spot, because either the Vola gonna be hurting or the Mashuk in the back line definitely as well goes down. So a rather free HKS into that one spot, but then it does come at the cost of losing your Grandpa from the mix. So a bit of a risky play. What else can Marnie do?
The Valash has to do a lot, but Marnie has to do as much as possible with the Tataru and the Grandpa right now, because the Valash can do a lot of damage against the Valorant or the mix, right? That's not the question. The question is whether or not he's able to reduce the target so Valash doesn't run out of stamina while fighting through. Hyperkinetic Strike will come out and will go straight into the Valorant. He wants to kill the Valorant as fast as possible, and look at that. It just cuts through like paper. Grandpa sacrifices his life to secure that bag, but the Gatling will be thrown out as well. The Tataru will be eating that, but the Tataru is gonna be in a dangerous position here. It has to do as much damage as possible before it is able. So perfect jab will be coming out. The Valorant is low. Crystal Spike's gonna secure the kill. Surely no, it does not. The Tataru has another opportunity to sacrifice his life for a CS Spike, which means the Valash can heal, which means you can't focus the Valash first, which is important.
Yeah, the thing here though, Hyperkinetic Strike has been waiting this whole time from the Valorant. It is only +2 speed, so not the hardest hitting, but still Valash with no madness buff, plus the Crystal Spike coming from the mix. I do think it might be enough, but you kind of do want to take care of the Tataru there, of course. But you do risk that Scavenger proc helping out the Valash here, so maybe all the focus is going on to Valash here. I mean, Tataru, one little sneeze takes him down, so not the biggest threat, as he is also running out of stamina. He has no Major Slash because he's going to be killing himself if he does that. He barely has a P-Jab. I think he still overexerts. Oh, still okay, no Hyperkinetic. Is he hoping for the Madness buff? Oh, if he doesn't get a Hyperkinetic Strike, I think he's reading the Madness buff here.
He's trying to read the Madness buff, so Crystal Spike's gonna come out here, but Valash will be oh, he does Madness buff here. So Marnie tried for it, but is not the case, so he just puts himself in a completely losing position. Marnie is now unable to really interrupt this. Buffduck secures the kill, slices the Valash in half, and Marnie will be losing this one. Buffduck will be taking the first game for the finals.
Yeah, well said. First game is going to Buffduck with a bit of an unconventional time. It is game number 2, so it's do or die for Marnefarmer. If Buffduck takes it one more time, he will be crowned our very new champion. Marnie potentially with the potential to go back to back in these tournaments. I know he wants it, but maybe Buffduck's team a little bit too complicated, or maybe too spicy, if you will, for the current meta. It's always good to know what to anticipate from your opponent, but with a team like this, maybe you can't anticipate it all.
Bans the mix out straight up. Let's all the toxic temps through this time for Marnie. But no mix means you cannot get CS spiked here, which was the biggest weakness of his wind temps, which is perfectly fine now. But the double fire, of course, means that the crystal temps will be much more ineffective.
Yeah, and I think that was a solid ban for Marnie. Realizing I believe the sweat ban was on mix, it was just sitting back, just crystal spike. Crystal spike was doing a ton of damage, so really well adaptation already for Marnie. Gonna be starting again with the grandpa, so interesting as well.
Buffduck has to pick up one of the fire temps here, if not both already, because if he lets Marnie through the second phase, the ban will come out on the Bastion. It's just going to happen, and there's nothing you can do about that. The toxic temps aren't the problem here because the Valorant is aerobic, and because it's not a tank, it won't live very long, which means the odds of an Urushiol being secured by a slower temp like a Gold or a Platimus, it's lower, right? Because you have to live to get that synergy bonus, but because it can't tank up, Urushiol is it's less reliable, more so Sapphire Valorant will be the opening pickup. Just gonna try and set up the Valorant as soon as possible here. We'll see what Marnie decides for his second pickup. If he does pick up Valash here, this Sapphire will have a field day. Sapphire does way better against the Valash than a Gaialis, I would say.
Yeah, very true. And I mean, Valorant's there. I know he wants to start setting up the very first turn. So Noxious Bond to Grandpa, never too bad. Start increasing that special defense right away for pressures like Valash, right? So yeah, I think Buffduck did a solid opening turn. You could have started double fire, but Bastion a bit weak to things like Grandpa. Even a Wind Burst is going to be doing at least 30% damage or so on Bastion. So a bit risky. So Marnie going with the same, right? He went Taru Grandpa the previous turn, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, Bastion is the ban for Marnie. The question is if Buffduck is afraid of the dark. No, he's scared of a pig. So pig will be removed immediately here. But I really like these bans from Marnie. Removes a lot of damage from Buffduck. If you look at his team, his damage is going to have to come from a Ukama and a Platimus, if those are the pickups. And yes, Sapphire does a lot, and yes, Valorant is aerobic, but aerobic Valorants nowadays is in a precarious spot because of Hypnosis. I think when Hypnosis came about, aerobic Valorant it's so hard because the special defense being reduced means that if you get put to sleep, you will die, right? The Valorant, aerobic Valorants cannot be controlled. If they are shut down in any way, it's really difficult to keep them safe. So Gaialis will be picked up, Barnchi as well. Buffduck has to pick up Ukama here. I don't think voiding Ukama is the best idea here. Going for Toxic will be very difficult. I don't like it if it does happen here for Buffduck.
Yeah, I think Ukama, I mean, no toxic pressure from Marnie, so Ukama rather free, but maybe he's just sticking to what he loves, and that is his toxic temp. So Golder, Mashuk, Platimus were rounding out Buffduck's team. And now Marnie's left with some decisions, either a Crystal Spiker or a Brilliant Support in Kinu, and going for the damage dealer. Let's see if this damage pays off. Man, this is tough.
This is a really close matchup again. 4 toxic Temps versus a Grandpa versus that Barnchi. These wind Temps will be formidable, and this aerobic Valorant will not be able to defend itself. Will Buffduck secure this with his team, or will Marnie bring it back? Let's find out.
Yep, we will. And it could be a thing of just constant Urushiol. So as we mentioned, there is no toxic Temps on Marnie's team. So back to back Urushiol's, 50% for you, 50% for you. that might just start getting a little bit out of hand. So that could be the whole idea behind 4 toxic Temtems on Buffduck's team. So yeah, we're gonna have to see how these things end up playing, but let's take a look at the opening turn. So if we do remember, Buffduck has an aerobic Vulnerance, so if Marnie remembers that, a solid wind burst to start taking it down a bit. And I think Buffduck is feeling a bit of a heat up as well. Oh, going aggressive.
Embers comes out straight through Grandpa, reducing that damage already. Windburst gonna get thrown out though, punishing the Vulnerant, but it does do 30% less damage, which is big. Noxious Bomb as well, just trying to kill the Grandpa off as soon as possible. A very smart play here for the side of Buffduck. Does not want the Grandpa in when the toxic Temps come around. Barnchi is much more manageable, albeit very difficult because you can't poison him. But it is it's much more manageable because its HP pool is smaller, and his pool of damage is probably lackluster.
Yeah, and that was a great play from Buffduck too. Even though you don't start setting up, you also don't lower your special defense, so a hyperkinetic strike isn't going to be doing as much as it would with that minus special defense 1. But yeah, as you can see, it did well. That double up from Buffduck's Temps here did well over 50%, so Grandpa can't live another one. Fortunately for Marnie though, Grandpa was the first to move, so something like Hypnosis could be coming out. Perhaps on the Vulnerant, perhaps on Sapphire. We haven't seen the E-Drink target. I believe we haven't.
We have not. I don't think so.
Yeah, it could honestly be on the Sapphire, maybe on the Mastion that ate the ban there. You know, it did a lot of damage for a Noxious Bomb, so it might just be an attack focused aerobic bird. So yeah, Grandpa feeling too pressured will retreat for Barnchi here. Maybe just get a solid turbo play going.
Embers will come out as well, and the snare will catch what Sapphire was holding, regardless of what it was. Noxious Bomb will be thrown out as well, just trying to do as much damage as possible. The Barnchi takes that in kind as well. Major Slash will be thrown out, so Sapphire will take a bit of damage. I say a bit, but quite a lot. Half HP straight up. The Barnchi, however, way below half HP, and Marnie already in such a bad position. Already lower HP, already in a compromised position as well.
And I definitely agree, gunning down the Sapphire just because the biggest threat to those Crystal Tems on Marnie's back line. The thing is, I mean, with -1 defense on the Volar and on Buffduck's Vulnerant, I feel like a Major Slash would have taken it down there. But of course, Sapphire just a bigger threat to your overall team. So definitely understandable for Marnie there. So one thing to note, Marnie didn't get a turbo there. He went pedal on the metal there, going with the offensive play, Major Slash, so no speed increases, so Barnchi not gonna be able to be as effective. Vulnerant, oh no speed on either Tem either, so okay, it comes down to base speeds. Yeah, this is quite the complicated turn. I mean, if Sapphire stays in, he has to try to live whatever Barnchi dishes out. I don't think we've seen things like Hypoxia. If we remember, it was Turbo, Beta Burst, Relax, and Bamboozle. So Beta Burst is the only offensive pressure that the Barnchi has right now. And that's not going to be taking down Tataru. I mean, sorry, not going to be taking down Sapphire. So potentially, Sapphire might be rather safe here, just to dish out more damage. Let's see if Buffduck realizes this.
Oh, turbo choreography gonna be applied. Just trying to speed up the Grandpa as soon as possible here. The Sapphire has to go down as soon as possible. Ember's gonna get thrown out again. An Noxious Bomb. Barnchi is just dead here. He lets the Barnchi go down in exchange for a turbo, but that does not feel worth it.
Yeah, got a strong support in the Barnchi, so no Bamboozles, no more turbos, except of course with the Tataru here. Something to note, Buffduck Vulnerant did overexert a tad bit, so the only pressure coming out so far is from the Sapphire. However, I don't think it's staying around too much longer. The only downside for Buffduck here is Marnie has a strong hyperkinetic strike going into Sapphire, and if we look at the back line, there's nothing but toxic Temps, which you guys know Wind is super effective into toxic, so it's going to be doing huge damage regardless of who it will be connecting with.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, Buffduck's main damage is right here in front of you guys. The toxic damage, yeah, is good, but it takes a while. And sweepers, their job is to kill you as fast as possible. So, in terms of like trying to secure as many kills as possible, Buffduck is doing a great job. Aren't You Already Dead is such a big advantage now, because Marnie, his job is to soften up everybody else so that the Gaialises and the Velashes of the world don't have to worry about. But the cage will be thrown out, and Sapphire is unable to swap out. That was a double swap out, completely denied. So Hyperkinetic Strike will shut down the Sapphire for sure here, and this Volerant is inevitably dead as well.
Yeah, I mean, Major Slash back online for the Tadru. I mean, Volerant has a HKS, but not any speed increase, so not going to be guaranteed any kind of kills. The only downside here that came from this cage is that a solid Toxic Ink from this big boy Golder should be enough to clean it up, plus those two poison ticks, of course. So that is, it might come at the cost of the Grandpa. So you do kill the Sapphire, your biggest threat against Ymir and the Valash. So I definitely think that's a solid line of play, just a solid Toxic Ink into Grandpa. Now what does Volan want to do? He's running a little bit too low on stamina. Of course he rested, so that's a bit of a stamina bug there, 0.0. But everything's stuck, so it makes the decisions a bit easier. Nothing's going to be swapping out, so it's just what's dishing out damage on the board. I think Volerant has to, you know, HKS and overexert, because a double up, a Wind Burst and a Major Slash guarantee gets the kill on Vola, so you might as well go down swinging. And let's see if Buffduck agrees. So we, oh, Wind Burst onto Golder.
Yeah, Wind Burst onto Golder does not want to punish the Volerant, it seems, as he does hope Major Slash will be enough. The Volerant does start setting up, but the overexertion means that Major Slash will definitely kill it. So just trading one for one. Grandpa for Volerant. Not a bad trade, but not a good one, I would say. A decent trade, to say the least. Toxic Ink will shut down the Grandpa here for sure.
Yeah, I think that was a solid play. So of course, knowing that if Volerant wanted to do an attack, you had to overexert, so Major Slash, more than enough to take it down. But of course, so did your Grandpa, so that is the double-edged sword from the cage. But still, you got Gialis, you got Valash in the back line. Are those two Temtems enough to finish the remaining team of Buffduck? I don't even know. It depends on those final Temps. I mean, he has these Euro Souls to see if the poison are going to come into play here. You could always P-jab, and then just, you know, Toxic Ink is physical pressure, obviously half effective into Crystal, but sooner than later, without Kinu, those uppercuts are going to start to hurt.
Heat Up gonna set up here for the Valash, oh sorry, the Gaialis. Wrong temp. Uppercut gonna connect, but on the Gaialis, speaking of which, wants to kill off the Gaialis as soon as possible. Toxic Ink gonna only be one tick, so not bad. But now Valash, with the Crystal Spikes, might just help the Gaialis out. This is very similar to how what you're gonna do about it is played out, right? What you're gonna do about it, how it works, is you have two Temps that have cannons, and they both just tag team bully something. It doesn't matter if one of them dies, as long as the other one is at apex predator form, you will get your benefits. And now Buffduck in a situation where, will toxic damage really be fast enough?
Yeah, so let's see. Houchic does outspeed the Mashuk, so Mashuk not going to be able to get off anything this turn, so rather free Manus buff. Where did Golder want to go? Maybe, I mean, either or. Pick your poison. These two Temtems are about to dish out some real damage. No one is safe. Crystal Bite, Crystal Spike incoming into Buffduck's side very soon. I think Golder's out of here. If Platimus comes in, Platimus is out of here. Of course, no. Who had the rock shield? Did Platimus? No.
The rock shield was on Buller and no. I don't remember actually. But regardless, what you gonna do about it? Strikes again. Crystal Spike's gonna get thrown out here into the Crystal Bite. We'll see if that's enough. Go straight into the Mashuk, but it's not. Surprising that he went into the Mashuk. Actually, I thought it was gonna be all into the Golder. Golder would have definitely died. So uppercut gonna land on the Valash, and it actually forced the Valash kill again. Buffduck getting that kill on the Valash, unnecessary. I would say Marnie loses a bigger part of that. I'm surprised he went into the Mashuk.
Yeah, and you know what? It was a bit of a misstep because Mashuk had the rock shield. That's what it was. That was the only way Mashuk was living from that double up attack. The rock shield mitigating that 20% crystal damage. So absolutely insane stuff. Of course, Golder easily would have been knocked out. Scavenger proc hit. And you know, the Mashuk surviving, we know the idea behind it. He wanted to take down Mashuk because Mashuk does effective damage onto Valash. So obviously a method to the madness, but it just wasn't enough. Allowed that uppercut to connect, and down goes the Valash. So it's looking a tough position for Marnie here.
I mean, looking at how little damage Haito did, I would have assumed that the Golder would have been the first kill. It doesn't really matter if it's effective. The threat is that the Mashuk, the threat is rather HP, right? It's not about if uppercut will kill the Valash. I mean, if the Valash healed there, Valash would be alive right now. So again, I'm just surprised that Mashuk was a priority. Mashuk by himself can't kill both Valash and Gaialis, so putting him on the bottom of the list would have been fine. This is going to be a rough comeback, if any, for the side of Marnie. Major Slash is not available because Tataru was forced in, so Gaialis has to do this all by his lonesome. Sharp Stabs will not kill Platimus, unfortunately, so Perfect Jab will have to do its work, and we'll see if the Tataru is able to do much, because the Golder will make sure that the Gaialis will pay for its insolence. Poison damage slowly ticking away.
Man, what a beautiful play from Buffduck, realizing how do I take down this Gaialis? Let's swap in the Platimus and make sure on this very turn Aquatic Whirlwind is online. So well done. Instead of just sacking the Mashuk, letting it die for no reason, bringing the Platimus, it does take a, over 50% of cores, but this ensures Aquatic Whirlwind is indeed online, and Gaialis just used his 3 prio move, which was that Sharp Sat. So Platimus, looking at everyone's speed, is going to be outspeeding it, and I do think it's going to be enough to conclude that 19 remaining percent. So just Platimus, Mashuk, Golder versus the lonely Tataru.
I mean, by some miracle, we'll see if the Tataru has the stamina. Perfect Jab again on the Golder will be the tail of the game, but Toxic ain't gonna hit Marnie. This is so rough. No stamina to really compensate for Major Slash.
Yeah, Major Slash is literally all it can do. It kills the Golder at +2 defense, of course, but you overexert. And then Platimus with a Eurosol the next turn would be obviously enough to kill, but you don't even need that, of course. I think just another Aquatic Whirlwind following this turn should be enough. Ooh.
Major Slash will shut down Platimus for good here, but that overexerts the Tataru, which means that the Mashuk and the Golder will have their way next turn. Toxic Ink and an uppercut should be enough here.
Yeah, Toxic Ink, uppercut, any set of attacks. Tataru can't even get off anything, so uppercut takes it down. And just like everyone expected, Golder with the finishing blow, taking down Marnefarmer, previous champion. And just like that, we got